Hi, everybody. My name is Alyssa Brown, and today I'm going to talk to you about stories. I know that sounds like a really weird topic or a simple topic, but we're really going to dive into this. We're going to talk about some books, we're going to talk about video games, and we're going to talk about a game that's become really popular thanks to Stranger Things called Dungeons and Dragons. So first, we're going to talk about two books. We're going to talk about Pride and Prejudice and Scarlet Letter. So the Scarlet Letter, if you haven't read it, I think we all had to read it in high school. I know that I did. I think I was the only person in my class who ended up having to read it out loud because nobody else wanted to, because it's written in such an old way that it's hard to understand. But the book is really more, if you take the time to delve into it, is more than just a woman who cheated on her husband. It's about a woman who was so strong emotionally that she was able to live with people ridiculing her, being rude to her, mean to her, because she was constantly wearing the letter A of her sin of adultery. But the whole time, she's content with it, or can put up with it, because she has her daughter Pearl, which to her is the greater than any gem, any pearl that you could have. And she actually states that, she feels like God gave her this child. I remember having to write a 3-page paper over the sentence, God gave me this child, because it was just such a strong sentence to have that kind of feeling, that kind of love and devotion to what, in a way, you should be ashamed of, because nobody knew about the adultery until she was pregnant. So in a way, I guess it could be considered Pearl's fault. While Hester is dealing with people knowing the man, Arthur Dimmesdale, who's actually the Puritan pastor, who is the father of Pearl, nobody knows. So he's constantly throughout the book living with the guilt and being, in a way, kind of jealous that he can't confess like Hester did. He wanted to. He's constantly not eating. He's to the point so guilt-ridden that every night he is whipping himself as a type of reconciliation towards the sin. And he's just so emotionally weak about it. And when he finally gets the chance to confess his sin, he essentially at the end dies. And it really shows you a contrast about how a person can be strong knowing what they've done wrong and living with it and making amends, to living with nobody knowing and that constant guilt eating you up inside. And in the end, I really think that the pastor obviously suffers more because of not having the strength to confess. And I actually had a professor make us do, or not make us do, but it was optional to do a Scarlet Letter assignment, to where you would write down in front of the class and talk about like 3 things that you are ashamed of. And that really makes you grow as a person, to think, what I'm so weak at, what can I grow, how can I improve myself? And you can't do that unless you know what your weaknesses are, essentially, And I think that's something that everybody should take the time to do, to help you be the best you that you can possibly be, to acknowledge those sins like Hester Prynne did, and to just bear it and to grow. And I also like to talk about Pride and Prejudice. I really feel that it's more than just a love story. I think it really shows that in the end, money can't really buy happiness. I mean, you've got Darcy, who has literally everything that he could possibly have in the world, and I think it's made him prejudiced against Elizabeth. I mean, he's like, you're just so much lower than me. I don't have time, but the more time he spends, the more he gets to know her. I think his first confession, he's like, even though you're so below me, I want to be with you, I'm in love with you. And then Elizabeth having so much pride, being like, I deserve more than you just be selling for me because you think you love me, even though I'm so low. Like, there's more to it. And that it also shows how when people are honest, when you find out the facts of things, that how you can change your mind. And I think that's a very important thing right now in this time, because especially with the political whateverness and the facts that are coming out and things that change, how people don't want to believe it, even if it's provenly true. It's just, they're so ingrained and so want to hold on to those lies, to what they want to believe, that they're not willing to let it go. And I think Pride and Prejudice shows that if you really take the time, if you understand, you can let it go and you can grow and you can make progress as a couple with points of view. You can broaden your horizons. The sky, there's no limit at all whatsoever. I also really think that once again, people should take the time to read Pride and Prejudice. It's so good. I'm going to talk to you also, like I said, and the second thing is video games. I am talking RPGs, role-playing games on video games, not FPS, first-person shooters. Though, I mean, those are good too. You go for it. The video games are really important. Games like Mass Effect or Dragon Age, heck, Witcher, where you get emotionally attached to the characters because they're just so well written. It's like you're essentially them. You know, you see in Dragon Age, there's Alistair, who was born a illegitimate king's son, who feels like he can't be anything more than a soldier. And if you play the game right, like, you can help him grow as a person and make those decisions, and he can become a king. Like, you can start from nothing and become something. And these video games, they help you to experience things you never thought, worlds you never thought. And it's just so beautiful that the worlds that can be created. And I know that lately there's been a lot of talk, at least especially when I was growing up, about how video games promote violence. And there's been some studies that actually show, especially from the University of Rochester, that video games, especially role-playing games, make people 25% faster at making the right quick decisions, that they're better multitaskers, they're better, faster readers. It proves so many skills, and I hate to see it to be buried, especially when you can experience worlds like Mass Effect, where you're traveling in space. You can literally make your own story progression to see how your decisions affect not just you or your character, but affect the characters around you. It's a beautiful, really, thing to see, especially when you have a series and those decisions carry on. And a lot like life, I think that gives you a lot of life experience, a lot of personal growth, which I really think that, when you come down to the bone of it, is what stories really are. You get the chance to experience a world and a life that you would never have the opportunity to meet, especially in this day of age. And that really brings me to, like, Dragons, or Dungeons and Dragons. Sorry, I almost said Dragon Age again. Dungeons and Dragons is a game that I had played growing up before it became popular. I grew up with some really geeky brothers. And what's beautiful about Dungeons and Dragons is that you literally create and experience your own story. It's a wonderful thing. You get to be creative with your character, like the backstories, why they are the way that they are. Your character can hate goblins because your mother was killed by goblins. Therefore, you're going out on an adventure to eradicate this species from the entire world. Or it's just, and then the people that get to come together from all ethnicities, all walks of life, and all different types of characters that they create, and you have to come together to solve problems. It really promotes teamwork. It promotes strategizing, coming up with all the solutions. You could be anywhere and anything and experiencing a whole mess of obstacles. You can really go Indiana Jones and check out all those tombs and find great things, and you can grow as a person, and you get to meet new people and talk about all sorts of things. Like, I play a game on every Monday night with a group of people at the Game Closet in Waco, and to see so many different people that I would not have been friends with without Dungeons and Dragons, or that I wouldn't have had the chance to meet, to get to know them, the friendships that are built, and the whole character development. You really have to sit down and take the time to think, not what you would do, but what the person you created would do. Or heck, I guess in a way, what would you do in that type of situation? How would you handle a village that's about to be overrun by orcs? Like, with a group of 5 people, how are you going to defend these innocent civilians. It gives you a lot to grow on, to think about. And stories really, I feel like that's their purpose. They give you the opportunity to gain emotional strength, to gain the chance to be creative, to build friends, to network, to really get the chance to experience life and to walk a mile in somebody else's shoes, to experience what they have gone through. And I feel that lately, I know I heard it a lot in high school, and God, I still hear it a lot today, that books and reading is boring and nobody's got time for that. And that makes me so sad to hear that, because if anything, you really should take the time for that, to grow, to learn, really. And I really honestly hope that maybe something I said in here struck a nerve, and that you go to Barnes and Noble or Amazon and you just dive in and look and experience a world that you have never experienced before. You'll have a really great day. I hope y'all enjoyed y'all's semester. Bye.